Hello everybody and welcome back to a new mod showcase. Today we'll be showing off the Araby mod. Now I say showing off very kind of loosely. We'll be covering obviously the campaign mechanics for all three lords included in this mod, but there is an unfathomable amount of units included in this mod. So unfortunately I will not be able to show them off in as much detail as what I'd like to normally do. Otherwise, I genuinely will be here for around about 4 hours. I have re-recorded this video so many times because every time I've come to edit it and put it together, it's been ridiculously long. So I apologise when we get to the units. I'm going to flashbang you with the units and get through them as quick as possible. And I guarantee you, this video is still around about an hour long. Great. Well, with that being said, much love, much respect, and please do enjoy. The mod will be in the description. Jesus Christ, it's a long one. Strap in. Okay, so here we go, starting off with our first boy here. As ever with these mod showcases, my aim is to try and show you all the stat positions of the Legendary Lords, and what they've got to offer in terms of campaign mechanics, and then once we've done that, because they all are very similar in terms... I love this, by the way, sorry. All very similar in terms of, obviously, units they produce. We should be able to show them all off together. What they will be differing to in relation to each other is definitely their campaign mechanics. So starting off with the main boy himself, we've got Sultan Jaffar here. He is in the tippy top of Araby itself, basically. His main goal here is to reconquest Araby from all its factions, and then push on into the border prince lands, and then into Bretonnia later on down the line. He doesn't like Le French. But apart from that, starting off, it's actually quite a difficult start position, because you've got exactly that, Le French on all sides. You do have some vampires over here, but they will be taken out by Repont, so they basically don't exist. Moving a little bit further into field, you've got more Le French, but outside of that, you've also got dwarves, as well as Archaon. No, not Archaon, Archon. And then some ogres as well. So in terms of like allies, you really don't have any. The way Araby works, or most Araby factions work, is they are very neutral in terms of affinity to other factions. So for example, here we've got the dwarves. They're only got -10%, sorry, -10 aversion to us. So like, the dwarves could be a potential ally. However, the fact that we're at war with Bretonnia obviously won't be a good thing for us. They're quite fans of the Le French. So yeah, you may get friends with dwarves, but you probably won't. I feel like dwarves will be swinging a miss every now and again until you get to Archon, and then obviously once you start fighting Archon, they'll probably be a little bit more buddy-buddy if they're not already dead by then. You do have one potential ally over here. It is another Araby faction. This is a minor Araby faction, and until recently, the only other minor, minor Araby faction in the game, which is quite funny. We've got Sultanate of El Kalabad down here, obviously led by Sultan Malik. He is a potential ally, however, does have -20 aversion to you straight off the get-go. I'll explain why in just a second. So yeah, all round, not a great start. I mean, it's a challenging start. Some of you may really enjoy that. Have a look at campaign mechanics then. Up the top here, he's got access to slaves. Now, slaves are not used in a traditional sense like Dark Elves, where you can actually use them in like a market or anything. Slaves are literally used as more of like a resource and stuff like that, and put into building up different structures and stuff like that. He does also have internal strife mechanic, which is basically the power struggle between the urban elites as well as the nomad chiefs. In here, you can see... I'll show you an example. For example, here we're going to goat farms. This goat farm off the get-go will give you a growth +5, casualty replenishment +2, growth +10, and then slaves -5 per turn, which yeah, is fine. But if you have urban elites with high control, it'll also give you less attrition when under siege. And if you have nomad chiefs in control, it will give you 25 gold instead of every single turn. Obviously, these buffs go up per tier, so tier 3 building will obviously produce you with better benefits than tier 1. The important thing to see here is it's very similar to like the cafes harmony mechanic, yin yang mechanic, but you don't actually want to ideally be in harmony in the middle, because like for example here we are currently in the middle, and it says there both sides are equally matched and your buildings offer no additional bonuses. So it's kind of one of them. If you want to be in the middle, suffer no bonuses, it is what it is. But ideally, you want to try and swing your leverage towards one side to try and get different bonuses there. I've popped up a little there if you want to pause and have a look. There's plenty of good ones, but like I say, unfortunately, you cannot see them. Sorry, you cannot utilize them until you basically pick a side. Yep, so moving on to his other main focus here, reconquest of Araby. It literally is his goal to come and claim Araby. You can have allies and vassals and stuff like that, obviously owning territory, but general rule of thumb, you ain't going to have many allies or vassals to do said bidding. Yeah, so the main takeaway here is he is going to be trying to take over every single settlement here. He doesn't actually care for settlements in the Great Desert of Araby, like here and Sud, or this one, Akhaba. So he's not actually too bothered about that, but he is bothered about everything else. So El Calabad and stuff like that, and all the way around, he is quite interested about that. He's also not interested about the dwarves. You can see there, settlements-wise, what he's actually wanting by the eye icon. And yeah, he's actually not bothered about dwarves. So you might have some dwarves, you might have some ogres you can potentially buddy up with, but you just want to destroy all the French. And until he does so, you will suffer. Well, I mean, as you do more, so as you progress more through it, you'll get more beneficial effects. Whereas right now, as you can see there, because we've done absolutely nothing, we've got -5 control, plus 10 recruitment costs for all units, and then -20 relations with Araby, which explains why he isn't the biggest fan of us currently. With that being said, that is the majority of the campaign mechanics. We've just got a couple of things down here, which most of them will be universal to the other Araby factions. So in terms of technology, yep, just exactly that. He does have his own technology tree, custom made for obviously Araby. I'm not going to go through everything because there's plenty here to have a look at. But yeah, just been to be known, nice custom technology tree. We'll do this one last because that's by far the biggest one, but we only have to explain this once because the other factions also have access to it. We've also got Jalaba's Way, which is a caravan mechanic. Now, the important thing about the caravan mechanic is it is quite linear and a lot more based around where you are. It only really touches around Araby and the deserts itself, and then a little bit into obviously where the border princes are and stuff like that. So we're really not stretching too far, the southern realm, sorry. We're really not stretching too far out. In terms of caravans, they work just the same as any other caravan kind of faction. You can recruit other boys which have unique effects, like for example here, gunpowder enthusiast. This boy is a retired artillery expert or something, so he's got extra artillery units. And yeah, it works exactly the same. You go out, you click a place, you send a caravan, get some money up there, bosh, send it over, comes back, and some money. So it works the exact same way, which is lovely jubbly. Moving on to the last thing then we've got to show you here, we've got the Grand Bazaar. So the Grand Bazaar works very similar to what a Dwarven faction would have. I can't remember what their actual thing is called, but it basically works the same way. You need resources, you need money, you can build different stuff. The cool thing is, because of the faction you're playing as, you actually, like I say, being kind of like neutral in the middle, you actually kind of can choose who you buddy up with. So for example here you've got the Ratkin necklace, which gives you extra relationships with Skaven, plus 20, and then down here we've got the Twilight Mirror Shard, which gives you plus 20 relations with Warriors of Chaos, Demons of Chaos, Beastmen, and Norska. So if we actually have a look at, like, for example, Skaven Blight, what's their aversion to us? Only 10. So that Ratkin bracelet or whatever necklace would instantly give us plus 10 relations with all Skaven, which is good. Yeah, really nice. So it kind of allows you to choose who you want to align with. And likewise, if we go back on here and go on Shaman's Tent, there's another one which gives you plus 10 relations with Ogre Kingdoms and humans as well. So again, kind of allows you to pick which ones you want to be, signing with. Or you could build neither and just be, all for Araby unite and go up against the world yourselves. So yeah, again, lovely jubbly. One last thing with the bazaar, you've also got this on the right here, so the slave market. Now, you can eventually build a slave rabble army, which is quite funny. You have to be within your own territory, and it costs 200 gold to do. But basically, you get some free absolute crap units. But you'll get some slave rabble to join your boys. I mean, they'll do exactly that. They'll just be cannon fodder. But it's nice to see that you can buy slaves from the slave market and obviously whack them into the army. It's pretty cool. On top of that, you've got obviously every single faction, every single race here on the right-hand side. Now, what that means is by spending money and then this is a victory cost. You can actually buy different ancillaries, which is really cool, from the respected factions you obviously fight up against. I kind of like this one, the mindset of this: lizardmen, rat spawn, sacrifice. So you've killed a lizardman army, freed a Skaven to then use him as your own now slave again. Like, this boy cannot catch a break. But anyway, yeah, so the same applies to dwarves, dark elves, all the way down. You can buy multiple of their ancillaries. The only benefit there is, the only trade-off there, is obviously a little bit of money and then an actual victory point, victories against dwarf +1. So the more you win, the more you can buy from said factions, which also might make sense a little bit more if you actually fight against the dwarves in the other settlements, and then you can actually buy some special ancillaries for your boys, which could be pretty good, to be fair. Especially like stuff like this. If you've got these mines or quarries in your settlements, that could be really good. So with that being said, that is our first faction shown off. That's pretty much all this boy has to offer. It's quite a nice reclaim the homeland and then go on crusades kind of boy. Of course, when it comes to units and heroes and everything like that, we'll do that in its own time. But for now, let's head on over to the next Legendary Lord and see what they have to offer. Let's get into them. Okay, so here we go, moving on to our second faction here. We still are within the deserts, or just on the edge, really, of Nehekara. But in general, excuse me, we are still there. So we've got Fatandira of the Aswad Siphons here. So she's obviously starting quite close to some dwarves and some orcs and stuff like that, and plenty of undead boys. Also him. So a little bit more peaceful, not as hectic, not 1,000,001 settlements around you, which you're obviously going to have to vie for, power for. When it comes to her campaign mechanics, she doesn't have the caravan routes, but she does have the Grand Bazaar and obviously her own technology tree, which is obviously the same as all Araby factions, which is fine. She also still has the internal strife mechanic, which again is going to allow her to obviously pick a side between the urban elites and the nomad chiefs. But on top of that, she's got a really interesting mechanic, which is up here. Now, what this means is you can basically do different actions, be that killing characters or taking settlements or through diplomacy, and by doing certain things, you boost your relationships to one side or another. So you're kind of sat in between whether or not you should be loyal to your culture, to your provinces, or Araby itself, or if you are going to be the scion of the Tomb Kings here. So you do not start in a actual diplomatic relation with Numas, but they definitely like you a lot, actually. So yeah, not too bad. And all around, the Tomb Kings in general don't actually mind you, like Cavalry as well. What you can do is by picking one side or the other, you get massive bonuses from doing exactly that. So for example, if we go all the way on one side to Araby, we get the Royal Jinns, which will be added to the Regiment of Renown pool upon reaching 100 allegiance. Once you hit 100 allegiance, you can no longer choose a side. You are 100% sworn to that side. You also get research rate up, growth +30, control +5, upkeep for Arabian units -15%, and then weapon strength for Arabian units +50%. So a real powerhouse. Now, if you go the other way, an interesting thing is this faction actually has access to Tomb King units. So you do also have your Araby units, which there's plenty of, but you also get access to Tomb King units, which is really cool. So if you go the other way, the other thing will happen, the other side will happen. So you get a Hero Titan, a Necrosphinx, and 2 Chimerian War Sphinxes will be added to your Regiment of Renown pool, which is cool. Unit capacity +2 for you Sharpty, unit capacity +2 for you Sharpty with Great Bows, and again once you hit that 100%, you are not going back from that, you've hit 100%. You also get growth +20, control +10 on all provinces, which is really good actually, that's insane. And construction costs -20 for all buildings, all regions in that's that's really good as well. As well as weapon strength +15 for Tomb King units. So it kind of, again, is a really nice, you know, one campaign is not going to be the same as the next campaign kind of faction. It really is cool how you can choose to obviously be buddy with the Sultan and obviously help him reclaim Araby and maybe claim the deserts for yourself. Or you could team up with Tomb Kings and fight for Tomb Kings and go take down the Sultan and his other Arabian ally down here. So, yeah, all in all, a really cool faction. Now, in terms of campaign mechanics, that is it. You kind of got a civil war, or you got the hero of Araby ultimatum for you to decide. Outside of that, you play just like the Sultan would. You got access to the same units, just obviously a little bit extra in terms of the Tomb Kings units there. And yeah, just a nice thematic army, obviously, for you to decide what it is you would like to do. Now, that being said, let's move on to the last of the Legendary Lords, and then we can actually start showing off some of these lovely jubbly units. Let's head on over. Okay, and finally, we've got the third faction here. We've got the Golden Magus leading Golden Fleet, would you believe? He spawns actually on the west coast of Lustria. I was going to say Africa then. I don't know why. On the west coast of Lustria. There is actually a mod. I will just actually quickly throw this in there. There is actually a mod which allows him to spawn over here, I believe. Or somewhere around here. With Immortal Empires Expanded. And I've got Immortal Empires Expanded for a reason. I will show you that in 2 seconds once I've shown you off this boy. So, yep, he spawns obviously on the west coast of Lustria. I was about to say Africa again. I really don't know why.
There is much to learn.
In terms of his campaign mechanics, he plays very similar to obviously most Arabian factions we've seen so far. He's got the Grand Bazaar. He also has this treasure maps and pieces of 8 because he basically is a vampire faction, Vampire Coast faction. So yeah, having a look here, he's got a treasure map straight off the get-go, the Golden Magus' secret treasure, which is fine, and then pieces of 8. Obviously, what you need to do is go around and slay all the pirates, very similar to Vampire Coast and stuff like that. You also do have access to the infamy mechanic, that's the word I'm looking for. So obviously, as you go forward and take over different factions and do more things, gaining infamy, you'll eventually get access to these different sea shanty verses all the way up to tier 3, which is lovely jubbly. On top of that, he does still have access to the internal strife. He's got slaves, unlike the lady we just had a look at. She doesn't actually have access to slaves, but he does. And he also has Tzeentch Whispers. Now, what Tzeentch Whispers are is over time, you kind of got some kind of like affiliation with Tzeentch, and he'll whisper into your ears different amounts of like machinations and stuff like that. So you will be given different dilemmas and different choices, different things, and different buffs, maybe debuffs and stuff like that. Having a look here, you can see you can summon units which are all Tzeentchian themed. So he will also give you access to some Tzeentch boys. But the grand scheme of things, you are focused again primarily on Araby. Now, obviously, because you are just playing as a normal Araby faction, you do not have access to the Tomb Kings. But what you do have access to, which I think is quite nice, is, well, first off, man-eaters, but also your horde mechanic. You, again, build up a main fleet force, which sails around and does its own bidding. And here, yeah, you can get the ogres from the main ship settlement here. But yeah, you're just like a horde mechanic as well. So you've got lots of different things. What's this unique? Minarets of Flames. Income from raiding. Melee attack +6. Summon Book of Jinns. 6 uses. Wow. Casual opponent as well. That's really good. Tier 5 though, so you've also got to go all the way up. But yeah, so you also count as a horde building. Now, the reason why I've got Immortal Empires Expanded, because that is pretty much all we've got to write about this. You spawn, obviously, in Lustria. It is what it is. Team OVN has gone through a couple of their factions and added some more minor factions to the game. So I've also got the Fimir factions enabled, and you can see here, one of the Fimir factions, Fen Serpents, now spawns over here. That's a new faction of Fimir, which obviously if you're looking to use them both together, lovely jubbly, this is where one spawns. In terms of other Fimir boys, we've got one all the way up here. The Hellgate faction, led by Dirac Belshin in the City of Splinters. And then moving down south into Koresh, I said. We've got someone here. Where are you? I will find them. There. Boom. Got him. Sorry. We've got here Thunderous Sights, another Fimir faction. But Also, obviously with Araby in mind, if we move over to the west coast of Koresh, we've also got now another Arabian faction, the Sultanate of Chandrahara, which is cool, led by Sultan Nawab Varma. So again, if you're using Immortal Empires Expanded, which is pretty much a given in most days, it just adds, obviously, all this land to be playable, and until CA does something with it themselves, this is a perfect mod to do exactly that. It just adds diversity to factions in and around here, and it adds factions which you could even encounter by playing more normal factions like Cathay over here, or Nurgle, for example. You're very close to him. And obviously with the aversion, you probably, I mean, only mine's 25 for Nurgle factions, so like, it's not outlandish to say you probably could get an alliance if you start hammering boys around here. And like I said, with that mod which adds you, I believe it's around here, you will be very close to another Araby faction. So yeah, really close to another ally there. So yeah, all around, really good factions, really good, very different, every single one of them. You've got one which is reconquering the homeland. You've got one which is now in an internal strife with themselves, whether they want to be allied with Tomb Kings or Araby themselves. And then you've got basically vampires, not vampires, basically pirates. Sorry, I'm thinking vampires. Basically pirates who are going around doing their own things. But again, you do have a mod which allows you to spawn over here, which is really cool. Now, with that being said, that's pretty much everything we've got to show for the actual campaign side of things. Let's jump into the unit showcase now and have a look at what all the units have to offer in battle. Let's have a look at them. Okay, so here we go in the deserts of Nekara. Spoiler alert, there is absolutely boatloads of boys to show off here. Excuse me. So, I think what would be best is if I kind of play it like the Skaven Clans mod, where I show you the models, I let you have the chance to pause it, but just kind of quickly just run through things. Because there's a lot here, right? This isn't it. This isn't everything. There is so much. So I'd like to even just sit there and kind of go through the stats and stuff like that, or like even just like stuff like this. But I'll be here for a long time. So I will do that for the Lords and Heroes, but once we get to the actual units, I'm going to try and just be as quick as possible without just being like, boom, here's them, boom, here's them, boom, here's them. I'm going to actually kind of try my best to go through them as nicely as possible. But like I say, look at all these units here. This is half the roster. So unless I'm going to make the video like 3.5 hours long, we ain't going to be able to do it very well. So, oh god, sorry for the awkward cut there. I've got like a frog stuck in my throat. Funny, going up against a left flinch. So starting off, we've got Sultan Jaffar here. He's a bit of a naughty boy, but only in terms of magic potential. Stats absolutely abysmal. I'll be honest, absolutely abysmal. He does have magical attacks on his melee. He does have two attributes, abilities here. One which allows him to transform a unit into a gym form, which is pretty cool. And then another one which is like a vortex spell, which does poison damage over time and can spread. Quite nicely. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's a good like vortex damage over time spell. A bit like imagine like Spirit Leech, but wider area. He does have some other like passive abilities like here, the Will of Jaffar, which gives leadership and immune psychology to everyone around him. So it's like a good buffer. But apart from that, do not get him in battle. Jesus Christ. Looking at stats, he's got 3 different laws of magic. So he's got 2 laws of death. Spells. He's got Soul Blight and Spirit Leech. He also has Pit of Shades and Penendulum from the Law of Shadows. And he's also then got Quicksand and Burning Hands from the Law of Jinn. I'll let you obviously pause it there if you want to have a look at it. The Burning Hands is just like a nice little breath attack. And Quicksand's pretty good. Phase 1 slows people down, and Phase 2 makes it so they can't move and does damage to them. So yeah, a really good supporting main lord. One thing I will say, he can't actually be mounted at all. He doesn't have a mount. So yeah, what you see is what you get with Sultan Jaffar. Moving on to Fatandira, she is a bit of a naughty lass. Obviously being on the back of this beautiful eagle, I'm going to say, looking absolutely glorious. She's a really nice kind of hybrid lord. So looking at her stats there, she's anti-large, melee expert, very fast and fires while moving, which is great. She's got 130 speed, which is insane. Obviously going to allow her to get around quite quickly. She's got bleed on her weapons, which is good. Again, negating income healing modifiers and obviously just doing bleed damage over time to entities. Great. And then she also has a bonus fuselage with a missile, so she's going to be really good at focusing down heavy single entity units or lords. She's got, for active abilities, she does have Deadly Onslaught, Foe Seeker, and Stand Your Ground, 3 generic ones. But she also has Aim Shot, which again is going to be another heavy hitter once for single entity units. As you can see there, 2 uses of them. She's got Desert Feint, 3 uses of that, which allows you to make all allies in range unspottable, give them stalk as well as bonus speed, as long as they're not in melee, which is really good. And then she's also got Blades of Honourable Demise, which gives a stat positive of 25% to both AP and base damage for both weapons, melee and range. So yeah, really good all around. So yeah, a really good Lord. Obviously the 130 speed is because she's on an Eagle. But this is her last mount she can unlock, and it is glorious at that. Moving on to the third legendary lord, we've got the golden Magus up here. This boy is a bit of a naughty boy. Again, stats are going to be a little bit skewed because he's on some kind of like battle barge, but looks really nice. Obviously the flying books and stuff look really cool as well. Such a cool model, and there he is himself, bless him. So looking at stats, again, kind of meh, but that's only because of his battle barge. Obviously charge bonus of 1, he can't charge with this thing. I don't even think it's properly got a melee mode, I won't say so. So yeah, spellcaster and always flying because again, battle badge. Having a look at stats, really good range, 440 range and missile strength for 200, really good. 80 ammunition, so he's not going to be running out of ammunition anytime soon. He has 4 active abilities. The first one being the Flaming Scimitar, which gives all allies in range flame attacks, magical attacks, base weapon damage, and armor piercing damage of 30%, which is ridiculously good in a range of 35 meters. He's got broadside cannons because he's got plenty of cannons on this battle barge as well. He's also got one at the front, which I think just fires on its own over time. But he's got 3 on the right and 3 on the left, so he's got literally broadside right and broadside left, which is magic missiles, but obviously only from like an arc off here, which is yeah, again really nice. Also, you can kind of see his range here. Very loosely. If you follow my cursor, it's kind of hard to tell, but if you follow my cursor, it kind of goes all the way across here and then back down. That's his range. So bear in mind, he's at the back of his back of his deployment zone. He can almost reach the enemy lines already, which is insane. And then the last thing, he's got the Master of Jinn, which allows him to summon a genie. Obviously, being a spellcaster, he's going to probably need some kind of assistance from time to time, and summoning a genie is always important for spellcasters. So yeah, lovely. In terms of spells, he's got 2 things of Law of Heavens. Excuse my brother here. Get out. Thank you. He's got 2 things. I don't know if you saw him popping up there. I'm going to assume he did, otherwise I feel like a psychopath talking to himself. He's got 2 things of Law of Heavens, 2 spells of Law of Heavens. He's got Harmonic Convergence, which is yet a nice buff spell, and then Chain Lightning, which can be really good or really shit, depending on if the gods favour you or not. He's also got 2 spells of Lord of Fire, with the Piercing Bolts of Burning, which is a nice bombardment spell there, and the Burning Head, which is a really good wind spell, but again, the gods need to bless you. And then finally, he's got 2 Lord of the Deep spells as well. He's got Time Call, which is an alright breath attack. Breath attacks kind of seem to be pretty mid most times anyway, but yeah, here's what it is. Nice debuff there. And then Denizens of the Deep as well, which is going to be good. Again, being a spellcaster, summons are always nice. There is actually a 4th legendary lord, which is only recruitable, not playable due to a faction. He is, he is Mehmed the Butcher on the back of a war elephant, looking absolutely fucking glorious, may I add. So Mehmed is anti-infantry, he's a damage dealer and causes terror. Looking at his stats, pretty strong. This is going to be definitely a main melee focus. He's got no winds of magic or anything like that, no spells. What he does have is pretty fucking crazy, and I'll show you that in a second. So yeah, stats good, anti-infantry, armor piercing, yeah, nice. 3 basic generic abilities here. He's got the Weeping Blade, which gives his weapon poison, as well as a stat positive of 50% to both base weapon damage and AP damage, which is insane. And an additional +8 melee attack, so it's going to make him really strong, on top of already being on a bloody elephant. And then he's got this, Gorgon's Glare, so it affects all enemies within a 35 meters range, and it stops them from moving. He's going to be so bullshit getting things stuck or frozen in place for ranged units just to fucking melt stuff. He's going to be insane. So yeah, really good Mehmed Butcher, really good supporting legendary lord for obviously probably the Sultan and stuff like that. Moving on to 2 generic lords now, we've got the Grand Vizier. He has 4 different variations. He's also got some crazy looking boys on his little thing here. Here he is at the top there with his little golden globe. So there's 4 different variations of the Grand Vizier, 3 other forms of magic. I'm showing him in the showcase obviously using Jinn, so we can have a look at the other spells the Jinn Lord brings. Stats, looking alright. He's got a magical aura, but again that's only because of the thing he's on. I believe it's some kind of like Jinn wagon or something. God, my brother really is trying to play Arc Raiders. Looking at his stats, yeah, armor piercing and bonus to his infantry. He does have this Blessing of the Elements, which gives all allies around him magical attacks whenever he casts, which is pretty cool. A nice little buff there. And in terms, wow, you're allowed. In terms of active abilities, he's got the Power Stone there, which obviously gives more winds of magic over time. Summon a Desert Spirit, which again for spellcasters is really important, and then Blast, which yeah, not too bad. Have a look at spells then. So we've already seen Burning Hand and we've already seen Quicksand. There is also Curse of Jinn, which is a nice -30 armor debuff, which is great, obviously for those heavily armored units. He's got Mirage, which summons a unit of Illusionary Spearmen, which is really good. 7 uses of them at a cost of 4, may I add. So yeah, ridiculously good. Obviously, again, spellcasters need summons sometimes to obviously help out and get out of the way of danger, especially the size of him. He's also got Sunstrike, which is a nice magic missile attack, good penetration, as some would say, good against armor, magical attacks and fire damage, so yeah, really good. And then he's also got Sandstorm, which is a nice little vortex one, huge randomly moving area effect, good against armor, so yeah, glorious. Moving on to the other generic lord, we've got this, butchering pronunciation incoming, Bashika, Sheik. Anti-infantry, damage dealer, causes terror. Let's move swiftly forward before I get banned. Looking at stats, yeah, good generic pummeler of a lord. Bonus for his infantry and armor piercing, yeah, good. And then he's got the 3 generic boys here, abilities here. He does also have scorpion armor, which affects allies in range up to 1. So if he gets less than 50% health, he gives someone nearby 15% resistance, which is yeah, not too bad. And then, like for example, there as well, the Golden Scimitar, which as long as his health is higher than 50% and his leadership is not broken, he gets more speed, more melee defense, more melee attack, and magical attacks as well, which is really good. So yeah, good little abilities there. He's also got Woodsman, which is going to be good, obviously, with him being an elephant. He's not going to be impacted by things like trees and stuff like that. So yeah, great. Moving on to the heroes then, before we get onto that abomination of a line. We've got 3 generic heroes and a legendary hero. I will quickly say that the legendary hero is the exact same as generic hero. He's just got a unique name and slightly unique character model. Outside of that, he is exactly the same. I'll show you here. Just literally hovering over both of them, nothing changes. The stats are the exact same. The thing that changes is the name. So on the left we've got Wazar the Cruel. He spawns with the Sultan himself. And then on the right we've got a Emir generic hero. I've just turned him around. You're welcome. So, so there you go. They serve the exact same purpose, just different name, different model. That's the only difference. They have the exact same abilities, exact same stats. Everything's the exact same. Talking about stats then, let's have a look. So he's armoured, he's anti-large, he's a melee expert and he's very fast. Obviously very fast is obviously because it's on a Pegasus, 125 speed is good. What these boys are going to be great at is hunting down cavalry, especially with this contact effect on their melee, which is called Cavalry Bane. It takes down 75% acceleration when getting into contact with like cavalry and stuff like that, and also charge bonus minus 25%. So these boys are going to be great at getting in there and obviously hunkering things down. On top of Cavalry Bane, they do also have AP and bonus feast large, so like they literally are built for just charging down more like elite cav and taking them down, hunkering them down, get rid of them, which is great. Looking at abilities then, so he's got the Sword of Anti-Heroes, which again is a generic one, Deadly Onslaught and Foe Seeker, which yeah, fine. He's got a Potion of Full Hardness here, obviously probably won't be a case in campaign, but yeah, he's got it anyway. And then Radiant Discharge, which is basically a get out of jail free card. Doesn't do damage to enemies, friendlies, but doesn't really do much damage to enemies either. It just allows you to obviously disengage a little bit quicker, especially with you being flying. So yeah, Wazar the Cruel spawns with Sultan here, and then the Emir on the right here, who, yeah, looks nice. Love the Pegasus, really nice looking. Moving on to your other 2 generic heroes then, we've got the Magician, which obviously is just a lesser Vizier. He does have a flying carpet. Every now and again this thing will hiss at you, you'll probably see it in a minute. because obviously they're just a Zinch Hell Demon. I can't remember what they're called. Flying Disc Demon, but they are pretty funny. Yeah, looking at them then, Spellcaster, very fast, stats absolutely abysmal, but they do have speed in their favour, magical weapons as well, but you're really not going to be getting into melee all too much. Looking at stats then, looking at abilities, all these abilities are the exact same we've already seen, obviously coming from the Grand Vizier, it's exactly the same spells, and he also does have Power Stone and Blast down here as well. So a nice supporting hero, especially if you're playing with, like, for example, the Sheikah here, or maybe to accompany Mehmed the Butcher. But all round, do not get him into melee. He's not in for a good time if you do. One unit you can get into melee though is the Assassin. There you go, the Screaming. She is great. One thing I will say, voice acting wise, everything near enough is voice acted except from the females. So certain female units and like heroes, for example, like her. They are high elves, I believe, which is a little bit of a shame, but, you know, it is what it is. I'm sure that could easily change in the future, but it's not the end of the world. So yeah, have a look at her then. She's a hybrid weapon specialist. She basically is a Skaven assassin. That's the best way I can explain it to you. She plays very similar to a Skaven assassin. Vanguard deployment, start duelist poison attacks. Yeah, great, yep. Poison attacks on both melee and range, and then the range also there. Just let me get rid of him because I keep on hovering over his stats. The range also there has 410 missile strength, so ridiculous. And then 400 weapon strength on melee with AP as well. So she's just a Skaven assassin. Really good, nevertheless, but yeah, basically just that. She's got Slippery, yeah, which I would like to think an assassin unit probably would. Opal Amulet, Assassin Trophy, again, yeah, great, something she should have. Black Lotus, which gives Discourage, which is -10 leadership, and gives her more melee defense, which is 1 use for 60 seconds. So yeah, good buff there, and debuff for obviously the enemy. And then she's got 3 uses of concealment bombs, which as long as she's not in melee makes it unspottable. It gives her stalk and snipe, which again, snipe with 410 missile strength could be pretty naughty. And then we've also got Doppelganger as well, which allows her to create a hallucination of herself, or an illusion of herself, shall we say, which hallucination definitely was not the right word. Which obviously, yeah, allows you to have basically another get out of jail free card there. Kind of similar to Aleph and Naz, like Doppelganger mechanic there. But yeah, really cool. So that is it. That is all the Lord of Heroes. A little bit more of a deep dive with them. Now I will do a skip over to the abominations within, which is all these units, because this isn't it, by the way, like I said to begin with. So we've really got to fly through it. So with that being said, let's start with the infantry. Okay, so here we go, starting off with the tier 1 melee infantry. We've got Slave Rebels, so Slave Rebel looking pretty weak there, not going to be obviously offering too much in terms of fighting prowess. They are expendable, these are going to be your scaling slaves of your army. Use them to all their potential, because their potential is very limited. Moving on, we've got Spearmen. These are going to be your first frontline warriors, along with the actual warriors class here. I would envision these basically being like marauders. I always use Nolska for an example, and I don't know why. So like, imagine these as marauders, and then these boys as marauder spearmen. Nice early game chaff, obviously getting you your front line, which you need. Holding the line relatively well, but again, don't expect worlds from them. They are only tier 1. The last of the tier 1 infantry, we've got, melee infantry, that's the word I was looking for. We've got the Corsairs, so they are dual sword infantry, but they also do have a precursor missile. So yeah, these boys are going to offer obviously a little bit more, a little bit extra in terms of what they can offer. Definitely better choice against infantry and stuff like that. A little bit of AP on their missile ranged attack in general. But yeah, really cool. Again, tier 1, so don't expect the world of them. Do have Vanguard deployment and Firewall, which isn't too bad. Moving on to tier 2, we've got these lovely lads. Ladettes? I don't even know what these are. These are pit fighters, may I add. So these are tier 2. These are going to be your first tier 2 infantry choice, which they are kind of crazy. They're defenders. They're going to be really good at holding the line. But outside of that, don't expect too much of them. There's 100 of them in a unit, and they also do have the expendable trait. Yeah, they look absolutely batshit crazy. Again, you're going to get better units as the game progresses, but alright holders. They'll hold a position quite nicely. Moving on, we do also have Palace Guards, so I thought these boys would actually be a little bit higher ranking, but these are only tier 2 as well. Looking really good, armoured, anti-large and charge defence against all. Certain things you will see if you was to pause the video is people of the cities, so there's two different traits, there's people of the cities and then there's another one which I'll show you in a minute. If they are people of the cities, they have an ability down here called Famously Loyal, which as long as the Lord has not been routed or killed, they have plus 10 base leadership. If you see anyone people of the cities, they have that trait. Okay, so yeah, a nice, again, anti-large, kind of holding the flanks, good against cavalry. But again, tier 2, stats are okay, don't expect the world of them. Before moving on to these fanatics, I will actually quickly show you a couple of regiment renowned I actually forgot to cover. Whoopsie. So we've got some warriors down here, Death Commandos. I'm not even going to try and pronounce this first two words here. In comparison, I'll just hover over the base warriors so you can see there they are significantly better in every way. And then they also do have Frenzy and Unbreakable. Frenzy stacks really good with Unbreakable because Frenzy only gets disabled if they go below a certain % of leadership, but obviously with having Unbreakable they never will. The Palace Guard variance is kind of the exact opposite to what we've just had a look at, so anti-large. These boys are definitely not anti-large, however they are anti-infantry. They do have the Pride of the Sultan, which as long as they're winning in a melee combat, they do have melee attack and conquest spear, which is lovely. Also, character models looking really good. Regiment Renown knows you only get one of them. Shame, but it is what it is. Dervishes here, these kind of like weird nomad hills people, like I feel like. Yeah, Hills of Eyes meets some Arabian movie somewhere along the line. Yeah, these the eyes are fucking weird. Look at them. So yeah, Dervishes, these are tier 3. Now we've actually gone into tier 3 territory. They don't offer all too much in terms of stats, but they are unbreakable, and they also got Whirling Dance, which makes them stronger the longer they engage in battle. So that unbreakable is definitely going to be the main takeaway here. Obviously you have multiple units, basically Plague Monks. Okay, Plague Monks, just they're Plague Monks. Moving on to the other tier 3 unit, we've got the Southlands Warriors, which look absolutely great. And this is the other attribute you need to keep an eye out for. So you've got people of the cities, and then you've got the people of the desert. What the people of the desert bring to the table is Bloodhowl, which whenever the unit is charging, it gives the enemy -8 leadership for 10 seconds. So they're going to be able to break boys a lot quicker. Especially these ones, because these are very heavily armoured. Very good fighters. 44 melee attack there, bonus to symmetry and armor piercing as well. So all around not too bad. But that was quite quickly actually. I think we've done quite well to actually get through the melee infantry. Now let's move on to the range. So straight off the get-go, these are your lowest tier boys, just bowmen, peasant archers, basically from Britannia, but dressed like they were born in the deserts, which would you believe they probably were. These are actually people of the cities, so they do have, oh actually they don't have the trait, I lied. Usually they should have the trait, that might just be a misclick there. They should have that loyally, yeah. But yeah, basically shit all around, don't use them, upgrade them as soon as you can. They do have Regiment Renown called the Fire Baptized. They are classed as bowmen, but I assure you they're not bowmen. Their character models look absolutely fucking beautiful, but what they do have is firebombs. They've got firebombs. So yeah, a nice Regiment Renown there, but they do not play like bowmen, so please do not use them like bowmen. Moving on to more tier 2 units now. So we've got the Nomad Trackers and then the Jezzails. Both of these are people of the desert, and you can see here they've got the Bloodhowl. Now the Bloodhowl, unfortunately for range units, is almost completely fucking useless because you're not going to be charging in with them, I'll be honest. You're just not. Looking at them though, they do have anti-large, however it doesn't show down. Oh no, it does show down here, I tell a lie. So you get anti-large, vanguard deployment and fire while moving, which is going to be really good. So you've got a ranged option there, I just moved them, whoopsie daisy. You've got a ranged option there, sorry, a bow option there. And then here you've got a gun option. So these are, again, I'm using Skaven to compare, but basically just Skaven Jezzails. Probably, I don't think I've as much range, but vanguard deployment's obviously nice. These boys and AP missiles as well. So these boys are going to be early game heavy hitters for the AP department. They do have a Regiment Renowned as well. These boys are actually going to be really good. So these are Malalux Raiders. AP on weapons and missiles, so yeah, really good. But they have this Hawkish Precision, which as long as no one's within range of ability range, sorry, they do 25% additional AP damage, which is really good. Combine that with Stalk, Hiding Forest, and Vanguard deployment. These boys can literally just sit to the back of the map, snipe people, and do ridiculous amounts of AP damage. So yeah, love it. Lovely. And that, would you believe, is all of the ranged infantry. Jesus. Now, let's move on swiftly down here to these boys. So these are the Camel Lancers, your first tier unit of camels. They actually have quite a nice ability, obviously being on the back of camels, which is Sturdy Beasts, which gives vigor reduction per second -1%, as long as they're out of melee, which is fine. Obviously, people of the desert, so they do get the Blood Howl ability, but all around, not too bad. There is actually a regiment renowned, so these boys, or should I say girls, are actually kind of insane. So these are the Dread Daughters of Tariq. The stats in comparison, alright, but it's the fact that they've got bound spells, and one of the bound spells they've got is the Burning Head. So like stats is good, they've got flame attacks and stuff like that. Like yeah, cool. On camels they've got the Sturdy Beast effect. But yeah, I mean the Flaming Sword's good. Affects all allies in range, yeah, cool. That's insane. Free uses of Burning Head could be so game changing for a battle. Moving on to the Arabian Knights here, so these ones are going to be more like skirmish cav, like kind of shock cavalry, whereas these ones are going to be doing a lot more heavy hitting, kind of staying in the battle, doing as much damage as they can before obviously having to recycle and charge again. So yeah, people of the cities, so unfortunately we don't actually have the royal blood loyalty thing, but they should usually have it if they are people of the cities, but it is what it is. Yeah, they are also anti-infantry, but unfortunately you don't actually see that there, and they are armoured. So yeah, cool early game tier 2 cavalry choice. Moving on to tier 3 now, we've got the Camel Cataphracts, which looks absolutely glorious. If you've ever seen me play Bannerlord, you know how much I love camels. If I could have a camel every single day of the week, I would. I love camels, and these camels are no different. So these are tier 3, they're heavy cavalry, which is pretty cool. People of the city is armoured and shielded and armour piercing, obviously having that Sturdy Beast effect. They also have lethal poison, which is really cool, bearing in mind that it's not regiment renowned, you can just use them over and over and over again. Beautiful. These boys look absolutely insane. So this is the Camel Cataphracts Regiment Renowned, the Siaphis of Kofa. Sipaphis? Yeah, okay. Sipapis is what I'm just going to call it, because I'm already getting cancelled, so I might as well just butcher it anyway. So these boys are really nice. They've got some pretty cool contact effects, magical attacks and crippled, which gives nice debuffs, as well as also bonus fuselage and armor piercing. And they also have impetuous charge, which gives them more AP and base weapon damage, as well as immune psychology when charging. These boys are beautiful. I love these. Don't be surprised if you use these in the thumbnail, because these are glorious. Moving on to whatever on earth these abominations are. Look at these. So these are the Wagzen. Yeah, terrifying hippo riding creatures. This one's actually got like a little fez on. Look at that. Wow. That's got a little... Sure. Yeah, pretty good stats all around. Nice anti-infantry bonus at AP there as well. Causes fear, which I would also like to agree, riding hippos. Moving on to your range boys then, so you've got Camel Archers at tier 2, again serving the exact same purpose. They do have the Blood Howl but won't be using it obviously too much because they're ranged. But yeah, nice early game range cap. Moving on along the line, got Desert Riders level 2 as well, but these boys are going to have javelins with a bonus against large, which is fine. Pretty much the exact same kind of purpose, but these boys are going to be a little bit better with a bonus fuselage. We've also got the Flying Carpets, which, sure, these boys are pretty funny as well. Of course, they've got Striders, so they're not affected by terrain, which I'd like to think not. They do have Hissing Carpets, though, so, you know, bow in all its screaming glory. Stats pretty good, to be fair, not too bad for tier 2, only an entity count of 24. There is a regiment renowned, the Nafatoon of Saghash, the Flying Carpets here. So these, in comparison, very similar, but have a slightly different flame attack. This is actually one of the units where the regiment renowned isn't necessarily massively better. They're actually only better in like melee with a varied range attack compared to the counter-size. So yeah, nothing crazy here. They don't have any additional abilities or anything like that. And then moving lastly on to the last unit of Camel Giselles. These boys are going to play just the same as Giselles, but on horseback. The only counterpart here is they don't have Stalk, because obviously I don't think you can hide too well on the back of a camel. Now, the last unit here is a regiment renowned, but not actually linked to another unit, which is quite interesting. We've got Al Mukhtar's Desert Dogs. Now these boys look absolutely glorious. They have Vanguard deployment and Al Mukhtar there, which gives all enemies within 55 meters -8 leadership. So there's going to be a lot of units here which actually do give a massive debuff to leadership, this being one of them. So yeah, again, a nice Regiment Renown, not actually linked, it's completely unique in and of itself. But yeah, all around, not too bad. With that being said, let's head on to the second portion of this mod showcase and show what other units we've got left, because, oh god, it's a big one. I apologise if you feel like I'm rushing it, but there's a lot to show off here. I'm trying to get it sub 1 hour, so let's see how I do. Okay, so here we go. We're going to try and speed run this bitch. We've got basically monsters, artillery, and some weird shenanigans going on over there. So starting off straight off the get-go, we've got the Feral Giant Vulture. This thing looks absolutely horrendous. Not too bad. Tier 3 entity does have some cool attributes, carrying hunger, doomed to die, stuff like that. Not too bad. Active ability there. Siege Attacker, not too bad. Moving swiftly forward, we've got the Genie. It's a Djinn, armor piercing, and I keep on hovering over you. Get out. And causes terror. Tier 3 again has some nice passives. Physical resistance absolutely out of wazoo, but you will also see if anything is labelled Djinn, it will have elemental, so it fades away. It will just evaporate eventually. But yeah, pretty cool. Nevertheless, a nice Genie to add to the mix there. Strong binding, nice. Here we've got the first monstrous cavalry kind of unit, the elephants. These boys are babies. Also got a fez on. These boys are babies in comparison to what we're about to look at. Armor piercing, anti-infantry, but does have rampage. Woodsman though. Not too bad. Yeah, pretty cool. We've got the War Elephant single entity. These are very similar, if not, well, the exact same to what the Lords can ride on. So yeah, armor piercing, anti-infantry, and causes terror. Tier 3, again, Woodsman, Siege Tracker. Not too bad. AP, bonus to symmetry, great. Regiment Renowned, we've got Ganjnal Juggernaut. This thing looks insane, and in comparison is a little bit bigger, not like massively bigger, but does look intimidating as fuck, I will say. It's armoured, armour piercing, causes terror, and fires while moving. I'll just hover over to obviously compare the stats. So yeah, really nice stats, a lot stronger except from ammunition, doesn't have anywhere near as much ammunition. But everything else is incredibly strong. Fire while moving as well. These abominations as well. We've got enchanted ropes. These things are just ropes with blades. They're so funny. Djinn as well, so they'll just fade away when they start to just like disintegrate. Armor piercing very fast and have constriction, which reduces speed and melee defense when obviously getting close. There you go, you can see their constriction. -10 speed, and it buffs up the more you are in melee. So yeah, cool. Strong binding as well. Gives Djinn units or stuff like that basically more damage as long as they're above 75% health. This gargantuan, look at him. Cyclopsian as well. This thing is insane. So this is a war elephant. Look at the size difference. This thing is the Ravager of El Calabad. Absolutely insane. Got 2 winds, burning alignment spells, but I would like to think this is a bit of a powerhouse of a spell. Looks pretty fucking devastating in the picture there. Comparing stats, absolutely insane. It's a monster. The only benefit this elephant has is better range. That one doesn't have anywhere near as good range. But still good. It also has shield break as well, so like you're going to be getting in and doing a lot more damage more often against shields. But yeah, 200% more weapon strength, bonus infantry and armor piercing. Insane. What a cool looking boy. Moving on to artillery now then, we've got Scorpions, which are nice anti-large armor piercing missile artillery, which look absolutely insane. These look beautiful. Again, models, absolutely insane work by the mod team, they always do. I've covered a lot of their mods in the past. These are glorious. Only tier 2, so these are going to be the first ones you can get. There is a regiment renowned called Cadix Wondrous Chero Ballistae. Jesus Christ. And they've got magical attacks. Got magical attacks, bonus slash armor piercing. Like you can see the stats there in comparison. Slightly better, nothing to write home about too much there. Here, look at these things. We've got the Gnatfish throwers. I would like to say basically flamethrower kind of cannons. Range isn't too bad for 280, but obviously not going to be shooting across the map. Missile strength there with burnt status effects and more weakness to fire. They are flammable attacks as well. And the negative leadership. Really cool. Really cool. There is also a regiment renowned which kind of, whoopsie, does its own thing. Look at this thing. Oh, God. Stop it. This is Shihab's Animonculus. Sure. This thing just kind of does its own thing. Kind of goes around, unbreakable, immune to flanking, physical resistance, siege attacker, causes terror, fire while moving. This thing's just going to be going around doing its own thing. It is technically a djinn, so it's kind of like got a djinn spirit inside it, which is pretty cool. Armoured piercing, causes terror. In relation to its normal variant, you can see there. Armour absolutely through the roof there. Jesus Christ. Weapon strength as well. Really good. Moving on to another unit of artillery here, we've got the Grand Bombard. Now this is a single entity cannon unit. It's going to be doing absolutely insane damage, 1.2k with bonus side and AP there. Good range at 500, wall breaker, anti-large, armor piercing, yeah, really good. And then Regiment Renowned here as well. Howling Basilisk Bombard, Grand Bombard. In relation to its normal variant, you can see there, a lot more missile strength, 300, well basically 400 more missile strength. Better stats all around, better leadership, and it also is unbreakable, so that's why it's got so good leadership. Gives the burnt status effect, flame attacks, magical attacks, really good, and also has 3 uses of wrathful shots. 1700 range damage. Oh god, that's going to be insanely powerful. So yeah, really cool there. And then the last unit we've got to show off here is the Djinn Carriage. So this boy is just kind of going to go around, do its own thing, has some support attacks, isn't too bad actually in and of itself, AP and bonus to his infantry, but it's the summons here which we're actually more bothered about, which are pretty cool in and of themselves. So you can summon different djinns here, and what those djinns are we will take a look at now. But yeah, all around not too bad. Tier 5 obviously because it's very strong in the battlefield, gives good supports and stuff like that, like Djinn's Blessing there, power djinns for better recharge, and then the summons are pretty crazy as well. Looking at the summons then, we'll start off with the lowest ones. We've got the Enchanted Books. These boys are really just kind of here for a good time, not a long time, very fast. Vanguard deployment tier 2, they're just kind of here doing their own thing. Next we've got this horror in the sand here, the Desert Spirit. Spellcaster, armor piercing, causes terror, tier 4 may I add. Stats not too bad. Every djinn we'll see will have their own kind of bound ability. So he's got Sunstrike, 4 uses Sunstrike, which is a massive missile, which yeah, really cool. There is also this sorry, sorry, I meant to get the face. There's also this Carmel Desert Spirit. Again, Spellcaster, pretty good stats, tier 4 all round, not too bad. Physical resistance pretty good up there. Incarnate Blessing of Carmel, so yeah, good buff there as long as she has more than 25% health. Applies for all allies across the board, strong binding, and she has 2 uses of Sandstorm, which is a nice vortex spell. We sorry, cough. We've also got the Sea Nymph. Sea Nymph's pretty cool. Spellcaster, anti-large, causes terror, tier 4 again. Plenty of nice attributes to go along. Magical attacks, bonus to large, and armor piercing. Tide Call, breath attack, not the best spell, but you get other benefits like magical attacks. She does have a Regiment Renowned though, the Sea Monarch. A little bit better, so yeah, stats in comparison, if we just look at the banished one over there, a lot more health, good stats change all around, not too bad. And then down here she has Heart of Winter, which is a good vortex spell. Well, it says direct damage, but okay, yeah, it's not a vortex spell, it's direct damage, but it's a massive one. So yeah, really good, nice little one there. Catherine has it all around, yeah, good, cool, nice. Innate Incarnate Death Frost. Oh god, she's going to be constantly doing damage as long as she has over 25% health to enemy combatants. Cool, yeah, great. Moving on to things which don't have good assets anymore, and I think we all know what I'm about. Dang. We've got the Fire Efreet here. These things are pretty awful looking. We've got obviously the normal one, the Regiment Renowned. Just comparing stats there, the Regiment Renowned one has a little bit more health. I say a little bit, a lot more health, better stats all around. It's their active abilities which I find quite funny. This one's got Arse Cannon. I'm going to say no more and just move on to the next one. This one's got Flames of the Sultan, a little bit more modest in comparison. But yeah, looking really cool, like a little rock lava golem. Yeah, like it, love it. Stats really good. Obviously tier 5, so it better be. And then the last ones here, we've got the Tempest of Djinn. So again, I don't even know what this is modelled after, but it's a really cool looking model. Spellcaster, special range weapon, causes terror. Absolutely insane on the AP and magical attacks here. Range is pretty good at there as well at 360. Wind Blast, meh, it's bound, so it's free. And then obviously I've written down here the Raging Temperature, which has 2 uses of Blizzard, which is great. With a large explosion areas there, 2 vortex spells there. In comparison to stats as well, basically across the board, better health and better just generic stats across the board. But there we go! Jesus Christ, that is all she wrote in comparison to... that's all she wrote for Araby here. Absolute boatloads of units here. Nice summons, nice models. This fucking monstrosity here, look at that. Absolutely beautiful. But with that being said, if you did enjoy this mod showcase, obviously it's a little bit different than what I normally do. I haven't been able to do as much of a deep dive because there is just that much to show off. If you did enjoy it, please do leave me a like, subscribe if you haven't already. And as ever, if you want to check out the mod for yourself and test out all its glorious asset protection services, feel free to check it out in the description below. But with that being said, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and hopefully we'll catch you in the next one. I should hopefully be streaming over the weekend. Well, when this goes live, I should hopefully be streaming tomorrow, Sunday, the whatever of November. Much love, much respect. Hopefully catch you then. Bye.